Hi, in this video I'm going to give you an overview of the use of SETP Reporter. If you operate in the sharing economy and run a electronic distribution platform or EDP, you're required to report every 6 months to the ATO and provide information of payments to all sellers made during each quarter. The report must be submitted to the ATO electronically and it must be in a specified XML format. SETP Reporter was developed to help EDPs prepare and then lodge their SETP report. So let's get started. In the previous videos we've shown how to install and to set up a reporting party. So we're going to run SETP Reporter, and that's what the screen looks like. And the first thing to do is to select the report period. So it's in a 6 monthly periods. So you've got to report from January to June and from July to December. So we're reporting in this case from January the 1st, 2024. So I'm just going to select that here. January the 1st. And once you set the first date, it automatically sets the second date there. So that's the first step. The second step is to add a reporting party. Now, as we've shown in previous videos, you can add a reporting party to the reporting party list and then select it as you want to use that reporting party for a report. I'll just show you what that means. So click on this button here and then reporting party list, and this is our list. We've previously added this reporting party, so we want to tick it and click select for report. That brings in all the details of this reporting party here, and we'll update this report with these details. So that's now happened. Step 3 is to advise if we're using an intermediary or not. In this example, we'll be lodging as a reporting party. Now, if you are an intermediary, such as an accountant who's lodging on behalf of a client, you'd complete this intermediary screen, and it can be saved and reused for other clients or for subsequent reports. But in this case, we're going to click this button here, Lodge by Reporting Party. Second step is the report type. In most cases, it's a new report and it's the first report for this period. If you need to amend a report, for example, you'd select this one here, which changes the options to be included. So in this case, it's a new report, first report for this period, and we click Save. And now the hardest part, the adding of the seller details. Now, the seller is the party that provides the goods or services on your distribution platform, such as if it's a delivery service, it'll be the driver. If it's a rental property, it'll be the landlord, etc. Now, this software allows you to add the seller details in two different ways. We'll click on here and add accounts. So you can either add one manually, one at a time, or you can import using a tab delimiter file. Just click on this one to show you. There's the sort of details you need to provide: the ABN, the surname, the address, the telephone number, mobile, email, bank details, and then the transactions, the start date, end date for each total for each quarter. If you only have a few to do, then you can add them on screen manually, or the easiest way would be to import via spreadsheet. So I'm just going to cancel this. Yes. Just going to delete that because it's created a empty seller. So we're going to click on this add accounts and use this import multiple from tab delimited. Now, before we can do that, we need to actually prepare a tab delimited file. So what I'm going to do is run Excel and open up a template that I prepared earlier. We have two types of templates. One's called a basic template, which is the most common one to be used, and one's called a complex. Now, the basic one allows for one seller per account, one address, one bank account, and 2 transactions, 1 for each quarter, and a property if a property is involved. Now this structure here shows you where to go to, what columns to go to. If you want to go straight to, for example, transaction 2, you go to column AR. And what we've done is we've pre-filled this information with, starting from line 26, this column here says row 26, use this for your first seller. So 25, this row here is just an example. A sample won't be used. And what I've done here is I've added in details for 5 sellers, 4 of them individual, that one's a company. And then you've got the, from columns P, address details. What I've done is I've left a couple of cells empty just to generate some errors, just to show you what happens if your data is incomplete. And so here we've got the contact details, the phone number, email address, and then we've got the bank details. And so in this case we've got someone with a PayPal account as well as a normal domestic bank account. And from column AE we start on the transaction number 1. So in this case we're using short-term accommodation. We've got the financial, the bank account the money's gone into. We've got the type of rental it is. We've got the dates, so it's from 1 July to 31st of March, and there's the totals for that period, the GST for that period, and the number of activities for that period. The commissions, you don't have to report commissions, but you can. And then we go to transaction 2, the same sort of stuff, but for the different period. In this case, what I've done is I've also, where we're required to report the bank account, in this case, I've used the wrong bank account, just again to trigger an error to show you what happens. So if you go back to column AD, you can see that for this seller, the bank account ends in 712. And if we go to the bank account's been specified, it's 717. So that's going to trigger an error, again, just to highlight what happens. Once you've populated all this information into your spreadsheet and added the property details, if it's a property, you basically save the file as tab delimited. So that's what I'm going to do. Go File, Save As in here, and change this to tab delimited. Where are we? There, tab delimited. And you'll get a message saying this, you can't use this with multiple sheets, and we're going to OK that because we know that it's only going to save this sheet 1, and then we can close this. So our template has been prepared, and now what we're going to do is load that template. I'm going to select the file, we saved it in this location, there it is there, and I'm going to load the data from that template. It tells us imported data for 5, which is good. Sometimes if you wander down the cell, the spreadsheet, and include extra rows, they'll come up as empty rows, in which case you need to delete them. But in this case, we've just imported the 5. And what we need to do now is click Check All. That's the Check All button just here, and to run some checks. So, okay, what's happened here is it's we need to just reduce these columns because we're not using them, they're not required to be that wide. You've got this column called checked, so none of these have been checked yet. So I'm going to run check all, and this runs edit checks and tells us errors were detected. Sort the list by the checked column. So if you've got hundreds and they might be scattered down, you can click on this checked and it'll put all of them up to the top, and you can select them one by one, etc. So what we're going to do is you click on that and it puts them all to the top, and you can select the ones that you want to look into, or you can just select all with errors. Now, if you've got 1,000 here and you've got a lot of errors, it might be just worthwhile to select 1 or 2 just to see what the error was. Because if you've made a common error throughout all of them, it's a lot easier to go back to the spreadsheet, fix it up there, and delete these and re-import them. But in this case, we only got 3 errors, so we're just going to open each one, which is what we expected, 3 errors. And this one shows you that the error is there's a missing suburb, so I'm just going to add that back in, and then click Save and Close. This one, there's a state was missing, so again, Save and Close. With this one, the transaction had the bank account, so it's telling us there's an error in transaction number 2. So we select transaction number 2 and go Edit, And it's useful to click on the save just to see what the error was. So when you click on save, it highlights it, and we know that it was the wrong number. The bank account ended in 712. So let's just click this drop down list. It shows you what banks were actually available for this seller, and we save that, and that's it. So now we've got 5 sellers. They're all been checked, and we're ready to go to the next step. The next step is to generate the report. So I'll click on this button here. It says Generate ATO Lodgement Report and Summary Reference Report. So let's click this button, and we need to make a declaration. It asks for the full name. It also asks for a unique identifier. It might be a user ID or something like that, but in most cases just use the name of the individual. And this tells us that the summary of the payload, that's the file that's got to go to the ATO. That's the gross tax of the fees, GST, etc. So just check those figures, match your records. SETP Reporter will now run a final validation to ensure, this is just another check that runs through that, make sure everything's going to pass. No validation errors were detected. The report is ready to go. It's a validation report that's been saved here. That usually if there's an error, you want to look into the validation report, but hopefully you'll never get these. And now it shows here that there's the report location. That's where the file has been sent, the XML file. And we can go explore here, and that shows us that's the XML file. And I'll just show you briefly what that looks like. I always open this in Notepad rather than Excel or any XML files. It just shows you the format that's required by the ATO for all that data that we're sending them. It's fairly convoluted and not something you want to do manually. And that's the text equivalent. So I'll just show you that in Notepad. It just shows you all the details about the report, the reporting party, and that's all the individual fields that have been reported for each seller, each transaction. So if you ever need to double check what was sent to the ATO, there's a query, you can open up this reference file and have a look. Now, normally the next step would be to lodge this report. What we're going to do first is just close this, and I'm going to save the report. Because it's an untitled, we're going to save it as, this is a working file, and if we need to go back and fix something up, so we're going to put just something like this, June 2024, SERR, Sharing Economy Reporting Regime, just to give it a name. And that's now all saved. So if you need to come back, so let's, for example, we say we close it and wanted to come back tomorrow, or you're only half finished, you can always save it, come back, and then reopen it. And that brings back everything that was there you've seen before, everything's done. And if you need to edit or check or fix something, that's saved as a permanent file. Now, the next step, as I said, is to lodge. I haven't made any changes, so we'll click, do you want to save? No. And now in another video, we've already recorded how to lodge. So I'm just going to go to a website and just show you where to find these videos. So you go to SETP, Managed Business Solutions, SETP, SER, and you scroll down here, how to videos. There's the videos here showing how to install, how to add a party, and how to lodge. So click on that video and it'll show you exactly what to do now that we've generated the report, how to lodge it and how to check the validation report. That's the end of this overview. Thanks for watching.